Yeah.
Okay, so I guess we're seeing more people coming in. We'll wait for what, another 4 minutes. It's what, 10:56, Atit, and then we will start. I'm
Yeah.
seeing
Whenever,
people coming in, and you're live on Facebook also.
yeah, whenever you say go, we will go.
Perfect. So what's keeping you busy nowadays?
What's keeping me busy? See, what has happened is we have converted our entire app as a free offering since the schools are shut and lockdown and all those things. But in the last 5 weeks, we have also launched 4 new initiatives under the umbrella brand. Yeah, so we have launched social science. So that's what do you call history and geography for 6th, 7th, and 8th.
Wow. Okay.
ICSE and CBSE, and over the next 4 to 6 weeks, we will be launching it across the 14 state boards. When I say launching, it's all about mapping the curriculum as per the board. So history, geography is added to maths and science, which is already there. That's the first thing which happened, which got launched last week. Under Disney Baiju, we have launched UKG, LKG, upper KG and lower KG. So now Disney Baiju will also offer 5 years compared to 3 years, which they were offering. So a lot of work on that front in terms of without any advertising, with Disney approvals requirement, all the compliance and all the protocols which Disney follows.
Right.
So that happened. Plus, we have also launched languages. So now in the paid version, right now it's free, but it's already been launched. In the paid version, it will become like a toggle. So what you have in a Netflix or an Amazon Prime,
Okay.
wherein you can select the language of communication as well as the subtitles. So for example, you can select Hindi as the language and Malayalam as the subtitle. So it's a toggle down, drop down menu. So that has got
Neat.
launched. Live classes have started. So teachers are taking live classes, 4 to 5 classes per day across multiple subjects. So there is enough and more happening on the product side. And then of course, putting up plan A and plan B and plan C post the lockdown. If it opens up, for us, opening up is not about the economy or opening up or markets opening up is important, but school opening up is very important. So how schools open up, what's happening across different state boards, what's happening at the central board like ICSE, CBSE, IB, IGSE. So there's enough and more work happening, enough and more conversations happening.
In fact, just to add, the school opening is going to be a bit tricky, right? Because we are talking about social distancing across all the places, be it restaurant, airport, everywhere, in malls, in stores and everything. Schools, every schools have at least 40 students in a batch, in a class. So I don't know what are they planning and how they are planning to do it. Because all the schools, I guess, they already got the mail saying that 10 June is looks like, but then maybe on government's requirements, they will take the next call. But I'm sure all the schools have started either Microsoft Team or Google Classroom or Zoom, and those classes are already started.
Yeah, correct. So we don't have a final directive from the education ministry nor from the respective state boards or the central boards, but the view which everybody is carrying is that schools would be the last thing to open up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if it's the last thing, people are now saying anything post Diwali or post Christmas. So we don't know right now. So that changes the entire business plans. That changes a lot of things for us. So all those things are now getting accounted into the planning process in terms of what needs to be done if A thing happens and what needs to be done if a B thing happens. So a lot of conversation,
Perfect.
a lot of chatter, a lot of investor conversation, a lot of tech product content, marketing, finance, all jamming up, discussing. But yeah, it's all shaping up slowly and gradually.
Brilliant. So we are at 11 a.m. sharp. Thank you, Atit. So good morning. So we have a lot of attendees already on there. I can see a lot of people. Okay, so let me start this webinar. Good morning, everybody. Hi, I'm Pritesh Patel from Basecamp Digital. Thank you all for attending our webinar on pre and post impact of COVID-19 on industry by our guest and a very dear friend, Atit Mehta. Request all the participants to post their questions in Q&A sections only. We are also live on Basecamp Digital Facebook page. Our guest, Atit Mehta, don't need an introduction, but let me briefly tell you about him. Atit comes with over 18 years of experience in a marquee organizations like Mindshare Fulcrum, Colgate-Palmolive, Hindustan Lever, Sequoia Capital India. Atit is currently CMO at Think and Learn Limited. That's what we all know as Byju's, the learning app. He joined Byju's in January 2018, and over 2.5 years, he has spearheaded the brand strategy and marketing across ATL, BTL, and digital. In his 2.5 years at Byju's, he has witnessed an exponential growth, not only in terms of the paid subscriber, but also becoming one of the most loved education brands in India and worldwide. From running India's biggest school contact program to launching Disney Byju's early learn product to a principal sponsor of Indian cricket team, Atit has played a stellar role in driving this great initiative. So over to you, Atit.
Yeah, can you hear me now? Clear?
Yes, we can hear you.
So good morning. Thank you very much taking out time to hear some of the points which I'm planning to share, which I have spoken to some people. I have spoken to a lot of industry experts, done some reading. So whatever I'm going to share today, it's not my view. It's sort of a consolidation of most of the experts in their respective industries, what they feel and what are the trends which are emerging as we go forward and on the other side of the lockdown or the other side of the crisis. Yeah, so but before I start, so first and foremost, thank you for taking out time to join the session, and special thank you to Pritesh and Dharmendra from Basecamp Camp Digital to organize this. Yeah, and as I said, we will talk about 6 or 7 different industries, and these industries or segments or sectors are the sectors which we interact on a daily basis, which are part and parcel of our life, which is part and parcel of everything which we do, and how that's going to change. What are the key trends which are emerging as of right now, and certainly as things open up over the next 60 to 90 days, a lot of things can change, but the macro trends are here to stay. And we as consumers, we as business people, we as people who interact with these industries need to be cognizant of this fact and accept and move on with whatever is in store for us. Yeah, so let's start with airlines. Yeah, we have been hearing the entire 4-5 years of airlines has been quite turbulent, with Kingfisher going down, then unfortunately Jet Airways going down, which was a big blow to the industry. Air India trying to offset the entire business, which they are trying to figure out something, trying to find out a buyer who can take it, with huge amount of liabilities and a huge setup, which is about 60, 70 years old. So, you know, the airline industry was going through a turbulent time, and what happened over the last 45, 50 days has just taken them back. And the sense which at least people in the airline industry are seeing top 2 or 3 trends which would emerge going forward. The number one trend which people are saying, it's going to be a big time for collaboration. And what this mean by collaboration is that competitive airlines will be collaborating going forward. Otherwise, it would not be feasible for them to fly the aircraft. So for example, if I have booked a ticket for 11:30 flight from Mumbai to Delhi, for example, and if you have booked a flight at 12:15 in some other airline from Mumbai to Delhi, and if there is not enough occupancy, both these flights will get merged. I would be told to take the 12:15 flight, and you might have bought a SpiceJet, or I would have bought a Vistara, but all of us would end up flying a particular airline. This way, at least the fuel cost is managed. In this way, a lot of other things are getting managed, and cost management will become a big opportunity if airlines will collaborate. Now, there is enough and more chatter, and you can look up for all these things. There has been some articles written by the aviation experts that collaboration is going to be the way forward. Apparently in US, Delta as well as United Airlines have already created a system and like a common app where people can book an airline ticket agnostic of the brand name. And depending upon your flight time, you can board the flight, and you will still not know which flight or which airline you are taking. So this one big trend which will come out as we go forward is collaboration, at least in the airline industry. The second trend which is coming out is going to significantly impact all of us is the travel time. Today, if one has to go to Bangalore from whichever city you are, it is anything between a 5-hour time from door to door. By the time you reach the airport, in airport to out airport, with the air travel time, it's about 2 hours, 1 hour at the airport. And all of us know how well Bangalore is connected from the airport to the city. So that's about 2 hours. So 5 hours is one way and 5 hours is way back home. Now 10 hours morning, evening, if one you are doing, you're waking up at 3 in the morning, taking the first flight out, getting the last flight in. Now that's also going to significantly change. With social distancing happening, with thermal scanning happening of all passengers, with at least a 4 to 5 feet distance between two passengers, with the entire security arrangement, with getting into the bus, boarding the aircraft, deboarding, again getting to the bus, the entire process which we are so aware of, all that is going to take much, much more time than what we have ever spent. So technically doing a morning evening is now looking a much, much difficult situation, but from a 5 hour, it can be anything between 7 hours. And in that 2 hours, 2.5 hours extra time, which you would be spending inside the airport, a lot of other things needs to be managed. You will be required to be sitting at one place. Food and beverages would become a big, big issue. Cleanliness, precaution needs to be taken. So it's going to take a lot of time. We as consumers need to understand, and we have all seen those irritating and annoying passengers who keep on fighting with the aircraft people, who keep on pushing, jumping the line, trying to go forward if you're waiting for your coffee. All that thing needs to be managed. And I'm assuming that there would be such type of problems going forward, but yeah, people are going to be very, very strict. People are going to be very, very stringent as far airports are concerned. But the big trend which can be is the travel time, and everything will go for a toss as travel time increases, in spite you are taking an aircraft ticket. And kid you not, the aircraft is also going to, the airline tickets are going to be much, much more expensive than what we have been paying right now, because we have been reading that they might remove the middle seat and it will be only an aisle and window. And some airlines have said that I will put one passenger, row 1 window, row 2 aisle, row 3 window, row 4 aisle. So probably a 2/3 occupancy with no business class, and which was only 1 or 2 airlines have business class. So it's going to be a metamorphical change in the way we travel and way the airlines shape up. Yeah. And the third thing which is going to happen, we expect a lot of freebies which are coming in. So all this, we all end up paying for food, but the interaction inside the airline is going to be minimalistic. You just go sit on your designated seat and the flight takes off, and there would be no water served, there would be no food provided. It's not about whether the airline can afford food inside the aircraft. It's also about how much they are able to maintain and manage social distancing. So airline is going to have a big, big impact. It's one of the industries which experts feel, where people have spoken enough and more, that it's going to be one of the worst hit sectors as far the crisis is concerned, as far the lockdown and things post the lockdown is concerned. So that's on the airline. And to move forward, let's move on to the other thing which is very, very closely related to airlines, and which is hotels. Yeah, another industry which has seen a phenomenal boom over the last 5 to 6 years. And if I was just doing some calculation the day before yesterday, if you look at Mumbai as a market, there are 14 5-star hotels in and around Mumbai airport, both the domestic airport as well as the international airport. 14 5-star hotels, each costing you anything between 10 to 12,000 bucks a night, plus 28% GST and everything else which goes in over there. Because if you are staying in the hotel, you are eating over there, you are conducting meetings, you are ordering some room service. So one ends up spending 18 to 20,000 bucks a night. And there are 14 such hotels in and around Mumbai airport, leaving aside the other parts of the city, whether it's Low Parel or Bandra and all those things. So last 3-4 years, 4-5 years, have seen phenomenal rise in supply, both in terms of hotel rooms as well as in terms of demand. And with OYO consolidating and standardizing most of the single hotel ownerships, it just was set for a phenomenal growth, because more and more people were traveling, more and more cities were becoming business cities, and rooms were becoming expensive. But now what's going to happen post the lockdown? There is certainly going to be a reduced manpower across all hotels in India. Yeah. And the number one trend, and that is what has been quoted by SPG Marriott Group. There's an article, again, you can look up for it, that going forward, and they have already started testing this, that there would not be any check-in counter, or there would not be any reception. There would be like a very, very cool looking kiosk. You have already booked your tickets, or you booked your hotel. You just go punch in your number. Automatically the card or the room key will come out of that machine. You go to your room and settle in. So there would not be any people waiting you, greeting you, making you wear a garland in some of the hotels, at least in Bangalore or Jaipur when we travel. All those nice things which used to make us feel good, which to make us feel important, make us feel privileged, are all going to go away, because check-in is going to be self-check-in. There will not be any help. There will not be any concierge to take your luggage. So you'll have to just carry your stuff. Another thing which at least the Marriott Group is contemplating, and I don't know that how they're going to manage it, but room rates now would be dependent in terms of which floor you are going to stay. Exactly what happens in your residential houses. If you stay on a second floor vis-a-vis what you stay on the 20th floor, you would end up paying more money on the 20th floor, because of, it's at a higher level, it's more breeze and everything else which goes with it. Something similar is expected to happen, because lifts might not be working and you might have to carry your own luggage. If that's the case, because we don't know how things are going to shape up, but even if only one lift is waiting and you'll have to wait for 15-20 minutes for your turn to come in. So rooms on the lower floors are expected to be more expensive compared to rooms which are on the higher floors. So another big trend shaping up or coming up in terms of you enter a hotel and you need to do everything by yourself. Yeah.
Interesting.
The other thing which is coming out, and again, this is what big hotel chains, ITC has spoken about it, the Taj Group has spoken about it, Accor has spoken about it, that they are also contemplating of having a one-time use cutlery and other items. Yeah, so again, if you just go to the dining area, there would be a high quality or good quality, whether it is plastic or a good quality paper. It's a one-time use, pick up your food and dump your waste into the dustbin. And that's the way it's going to be. And again, if one is using one-time use cutlery, the cost of staying in a hotel is going to significantly go up, but they are in a fix right now. People are not traveling, and whatever demand comes in after the lockdown opens up, after businesses start, and if the cost goes up, both for the airline or the hotels, you will not have people coming in. So they don't know what to do right now, whether to drive volumes or drive safety or drive bottom line. So they are in a big fix, and two of the biggest impact, or two of the biggest sectors which would get impacted or which has already got impacted is hotels and airlines. Yeah. Moving on, let's move on something which we do on a regular basis. What's the view? And again, these are all consolidated points which I've gathered from people and websites and all the apps on e-commerce and online services. Contradictory to what people have been saying, boom time for the sector. E-commerce is going to see a phenomenal boom as we go forward. Everyone used to wonder, people used to say that what the heck is this digital transformation? And what does digital transformation actually mean? We started talking about digital transformation 10 years, 12 years ago, and last 4-5 years again has been phenomenal as far the digital companies are concerned, with Jio taking the lead. Data cost is cheaper today. One GB of data is cheaper than 1 kg of table salt. That's the way the data cost has come down, device cost has come down. So digital transformation people have been talking about, but this crisis have actually shown what digital transformation is going to be. Everything is going to become digital, whether you like it or you don't like it. That's the way the trend is emerging, because today even your next door kirana shop guy does not have a person to come and drop you stuff at your home, and you are also not going out. So, and people are very, very hesitant in exchanging currency. He's getting into a digital platform. You are already there on a digital platform, and with the Facebook Geo partnership, what we have been reading and what Paytm is trying to do in terms of onboarding tons and tons of kirana stores, this is going to be a boom time as far the e-commerce sector is concerned, because everything is going to be now e-commerce led or digitally led. Yeah. The another big trend which is coming out is headless commerce, both for business to business companies, for business to consumer companies, and as well as B2B2C companies. Yeah. Just imagine now if you go to a big departmental store, or if you go to a big bazaar, or if you go to one of those Reliance Smart or something. Yeah. Again, what we see with what we would see at hotels, there would be a self checkout counter. You just start punching your barcode into that machine, and automatically the bill gets generated, put in your card or punch in your net banking numbers or whatever it might be, and you can you can do a basket checkout. So this is going to be headless. There would be less and less people, and all service industries are going to see a big issue with people, in terms of people would be losing jobs. People will not be getting jobs if you have already not got yourself into a job, and it's going to be extremely painful. It's going to be extremely difficult as we see the e-commerce shaping up. While people like us would benefit, but people who serve these sectors or people who work in these sectors might be going through a difficult time in managing their livelihood. The other thing which will come out, at least in the service sector, if you talk about, for example, cab hailing services, what will happen? And we have all been complaining that, this Ola or Uber or Meru or whichever cars we take, it really stinks. Yeah, it really smells. Now, for these cars to survive and drivers to get more and more passengers like ourselves taking their services, at least one thing is sure, that the cars will become cleaner. It will smell less. Yeah, you can comfortably sit. Yeah, but again, a lot of restrictions would be there, that should you put on the AC or you should switch off the AC, how it's going to happen, how will you interact, how many people can sit. Now, all those things are getting spoken about. I'm sure everybody and across industries, people are grappling and figuring out what's their plan A, plan B as they go forward. But overall, online services and e-commerce, whether it is the e-commerce guys or even somebody like a salon. Now, all of us, I was just telling Pritesh before we started the call, it's been 1.5, 2 months. I think most of us have not gone for an haircut. Now, I don't know whether I will ever go for an haircut, but you still need to cut your hair. Yeah. So, or you still need to get your manicure, pedicure done. You should need to get your face massage on, everything else to pamper ourselves to be done. And that might start happening at home, and that person coming at home is an online service. So that sector is expected to.
So Ati, just to add, maybe you can have a pony like me now.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. Yeah. So, that's what's going to change. It's already started, and slowly and gradually this will pick up pace. And this is going to be a big opportunity for all of us, from a business perspective, from jobs perspective, from doing your own bits with these sectors and creating a sort of a small business opportunity or a huge job opportunity as we go forward, at least in the e-commerce and online services space. Yeah, moving on, let's talk about automobiles. Yeah, again, another sector which was in the doldrums 6 months. People had seen the worst ever quarters or 2-3 quarters as far four-wheelers is concerned, and this has just taken them much more deeper into their problems. And I read some reports last week. I think Maruti had a official statement that they did not sell a single car in the month of April. I think Honda also passed a communication that they also did not sell a single car in the month of April. So now what's going to happen in the automobile segment? And again, I've spoken to some friends at Maruti, I've spoken to some friends at Cars 24 and all this other uh, tech startups which are in the automobile space. What their view is that personal mobility will take a front seat, and especially in the two-wheelers category. Now, just imagine, yeah, and I'm talking about Mumbai, the day the government of Maharashtra opens up the city, and the day railways or local train starts, the day metro starts, how are we planning to maintain social distancing? It's just not possible. No, even before the lockdown, taking a train from an Andheri or taking a train from one of those busy stations, yeah, in any of the metros, forget Mumbai, it was a chaos. We used to like almost kill ourselves every day getting inside the train. And now with social distancing to be maintained and managed, how are we going to do it? So what's going to happen is people would start looking at personal mobility, and I will not have the money to buy a four-wheeler, but I would somehow manage to buy a two-wheeler, and two-wheeler business is going to go for a phenomenal jump, because it's easy today. You still get a two-wheeler from a 50,000 bucks and upwards, and there are enough and more banks which are offering you loans, and companies, big organization will start giving probably a zero interest loans to buy a two-wheeler for people to have personal mobility. And that's also going to see a metamorphical change. uh, Traffic situation as we open up, if more two-wheelers coming, if 20% more two-wheelers are on the road, and you know how two-wheelers ride their vehicle, it's difficult when you are in a car, you can't even walk in a city which is dominated by two-wheelers. But that's going to be the future. What you see in Jakarta, Indonesia, it's a more of a two-wheeler market, and that's exactly what the Indian metros are looking for, because people would be opting for personal mobility rather than going in a crowded train or a bus. Yeah, used car segment will grow for sure. However, the new car segment might not grow, or it will start declining sequentially month on month. If the new car segment declines sequentially, there will certainly be a growth in the second-hand car market or used car market as we go forward. And this is what people are saying, because today there is enough and more pressure on all of us. We are all worried that whether tomorrow morning am I going to get a call or an email of a haircut in salary, or whether I'm going to have my business running, or I'm shutting down, whether my payments is going to happen, or I'm able to collect my dues from the market. All those worries are there. None of us are ready to right now go and take a loan, or even do a down payment for a high value item or high price item in terms of absolute rupees. So new cars growth might not come back, and they looks like they would continue to have a very average quarters going forward. But second half car market is expected to grow faster than they have ever grown. So that's what is people are saying. uh, as far the retail of cars is concerned, at least some folks have said, and I've read somewhere, that going forward over the in the long term, there will not be any car showrooms. It would be like a virtual, very well designed. You'll spend a lot of money, and the best designers, the best tech, the best augmented reality, virtual reality, and everything which is required to create a virtual showroom. It will make you feel that you are in an actual showroom. So what's going to happen now? This is also because of the high real estate cost which these guys might be incurring, and with revenues not looking that promising going forward, there would be cost cutting. So you will not close down business, but you will cut down on expenses where you can, and a virtual showroom looks a reality. And if that happens, and with even more and more offices talking about work from home. TCS, during their quarter results, they had announced that by 2025, 75% of their workforce can end up working from home. And if that happens, and if people are seeing that efficiency is not lost and we are comfortable, and this has been a good 45, 50 day, 2 months of a trial period, we have all struggled, we have all come to terms, and work is happening. We are doing the same amount of work or probably more amount of work sitting at home. So this is going to also have a huge impact on commercial real estate, and that is going to create more credit crunch and more problems for the bank, because bank exposure to real estate firms in terms of loans is very high. And Axis Bank, not Axis Bank, sorry, which bank which went under right now, that Yes Bank, the only problem with them was that the exposure which they had with real estate was humongous, and all that turned into be bad debts. So if real estate is not rented out or real estate is not bought by big organizations, if things are moving to a virtual thing, real estate will start looking under tremendous pressure. Prices will certainly come down, but what's the point of prices coming down if there is no demand? Because price is a function of demand and supply. If there is no demand and there is a lot much more supply, a change in price is not going to help. And that would also have a direct impact in the banking and the finance segment. Yeah. And since we are talking about banking and finance, let's talk about how that industry is shaping up. We saw what happened with Franklin Templeton, 31,000 crores of investors' money, which were the 6 debt funds. They had to freeze, no buying or selling, because the papers which they had bought, whether it was a AAA rating paper or AA rating paper, they ended up buying a lot of single A and AA rating papers, which they wanted to sell in the marketplace, but there were no buyers. And people were trying to redeem their debt mutual fund. So they took a call that nothing doing, no buying, no selling, I'm freezing 31,000 crores. Press statement was passed, nothing to worry, your money is not lost, but we will pay you money over a period of time. And now nobody knows what that period of time is. And this type of credit crunch or liquidity in the market, both at company level, at organization level, and at a fiscal level, is going to become a very big conversation as we go forward. The government has announced the first fiscal, when the first lockdown was there, everybody is expecting, and especially MSMEs are expecting another big announcement from the government in terms of supporting them. But nobody knows what's going to happen. So this sector also is looking under tremendous pressure, both in terms of stock markets crashing, credit liquidity crunch becoming a problem, trade war happening between India and China. Manufacturing units want to shift from China to India. They will require land, they will require funding. So it is a big mess right now in terms of how banking and finance is going to shape up at a macro level. But at a micro level, at our individual level, what is going to happen is term insurance and health insurance will become a top priority for consumers and bank. However, all of us will end up paying a much more higher premium. So this will now become a norm. This will become a part of life that one would be taking, or one would be enhancing health insurance and term insurance going forward, because of the uncertainty and because of the unprecedented nature of time which we have all gone through, and nobody knows what the future holds. So term insurance and health insurance is looking very promising as we go forward. As I mentioned, risk of bad loans or bad debts from a bank's perspective is looking high, because if a bank has given me, if I'm a small startup or if I'm a small business, and if I've taken a loan from the bank, but my business does not shape up and I am forced to shut down, how am I going to pay that bank loan back to the banks or the financial institutions? So a lot of MSMEs as well as big corporates will turn out to be bad, and that's going to significantly impact the overall assets and liability from a bank perspective, and with the overall credit crunch happening in the country, this sector is under stress, and it's very important that we come out of this sector, because in today's day and age, and with whatever we have gone through, liquidity is the key. If you have cash in hand, you are protected, you are taken care of. So we need to figure out as a country and as an organization and as a finance ministry, that how do we ensure that banking and finance sector stays above the water. Yeah. The other big trend which is coming out of the banking and finance sector is neo-banking. I don't know how many of you guys have heard about neo-banking. You should read up on neo-banking. It's very, very interesting. Neo-banking is nothing but it's the facade or the front part of a bank, yeah, done by outstanding entrepreneurs who have started this. So neo-banking is the next big subsegment under the banking and finance. Big startup opportunity which does not require a banking license. So today, if I want to start a neo-banking, I can start a neo-banking right now. I just need to go and tie up with somebody who has a banking license, and if we come into partnership, I can become the face, or I can become the front facade of a bank. So what will happen is physical branches of banks will not be required, and neo-banking is 100% digital bank. It's 100% virtual bank with no physical assets. So that's a big thing. It's a big startup opportunities. It's a big opportunity to start into this segment, because it's very, very nascent, and you should read up about this segment, how big and how confident people are both in US as well as in Europe, which has seen neo-banking over the last 3 or 4 years. It's also a good opportunity to do your angel investment if you know somebody in the neo-banking segment. And the view is that this is a very, very secured sector. Over a period of time, this is going to become the next big thing as far India is concerned. Yeah. Let's then move on. Pritesh, I have another 8 minutes, and I should be able to finish in 8 minutes. Yeah,
Please go ahead.
I have 2 or 3 seconds.
Before we move on, so are you saying that you're giving an investment tip, saying that neo-banking is the next big wave you should invest in?
No, I'm not giving any investment tip. I am just reading out the consolidated feedback which people have written or spoken. Everybody is saying that neo-banking is looking very, very promising. If you want to start in neo-banking. If you want to join a company which is into neo-banking, you should join. Or if you want to invest, you can invest your hard-earned money. I am not an expert on investments.
Got it. Thanks.
Yeah, let's move on to one of our favorite sectors, which is FMCG. I have spent most of my career in 2 of the biggest FMCGs, which is Colgate and Unilever. And as always, FMCG is a safe haven, and it will always remain a safe haven. Drop in volumes over the last quarter. ITC announced results. HUL announced results last week. HUL showed a 7% volume degrowth in the last quarter, but these are all temporary things here. They will come back, and FMCG is the first sector which will have a full revival as we go forward, because we are not going to stop eating biscuits, or we are not going to stop eating atta from ITC, or we are not going to stop brushing or bathing or shampooing and so on and so forth. So FMCG segment is going to be a safe haven, and it's the first sector which will be on a revival growth as we open up. More than anything else, FMCG segment is more dependent on monsoon. And if we have a good monsoon this year, they will be back and screaming and shouting and doing everything what they do. And if FMCG comes back, advertising business will come back, because even today, with whatever monies everybody else is spending, a Network 18 or a Z Network or a Star to survive and to drive in their profitability, FMCG plays a very, very big role. And it's a matter of time. If FMCG starts coming back, media, entertainment, and at least the broadcasting, publishing business would be back. Not that much digital, but at least TV, print, and radio. And there is no problem in demand. Demand is always there. The problem which the FMCG segments are looking at is supply side. They'll have to get back the people who, the the transport guys, the drivers, the people who work in the factories, they'll have to maintain social distancing. So supply chain and production will be a worry, but these are big global organization, deep pockets, very strong cash-rich organization. So they will have enough and more resources to figure out a way. It's a matter of time. Supply starts coming in, or supply problems or logistic problems are taken care of. Demand is already there. You will see FMCG segment as the first revival as we go forward. Yeah, moving on to my current and one of the most spoken about, or one of the most exciting sectors to be in right now is the education and edtech sector. There, and I can very confidently say that for the education sector, or anything which is tech-based education, which is edtech, this is a once in a lifetime opportunity for all e-learning companies. It's a blessing in disguise, and everybody is cashing in. Over the last 3 months or 4 months, we have seen so many new e-learning players coming up. They have started advertising in the month of March, as well as last 10 days of March and full month of April. Outside Amul, who was advertising on Mahabharat and Ramayana, EdTech was the second largest spender as far television is concerned. So you have Byju's, you have Unacademy, you have Vedantu, you have Lido, you have QMAT. There are multiple companies, and all of them doing well. Investors are very gung-ho about the EdTech sector. Over the last 6 months, EdTech sector raised close to about $550–600 million. Last 1 year, EdTech has raised more than $1 billion. So this sector is booming, but again, big trends are coming out of the education sector. And the number one thing which is going to happen going forward is that education is going to be hybrid. Education is going to be blended, and blended education will be the new normal. And what we mean by blended education, you will be having schools, you will be having everything what we used to have pre-lockdown, but there would be enough and more emphasis, and students and parents and teachers and the entire ecosystem and the environment, which is the infrastructure, the government, and everybody who's associated with education, will be now focusing and getting students to spend more and more time at home, and learning from home, or learn at home, or learn from home is going to become a new normal. So this is a big advantage. You go to a school, you come back, spend some time. So 50% time in school to ensure that kids are protected, precautions are taken, classroom size will come down. Schools probably will start operating for 12 hours, 16 hours in a day. School will start at 7, instead of getting over at 12, will get over at 10. Batch 1, 11 o'clock, another batch comes in, third batch comes in. So multiple batch, so less number of students in a class. But if that happens, then the student has to come back home and study, and the parent will also be much more involved. So big opportunity for the edtech sector. The other big thing which is going to happen, which looks like a challenge, but it will eventually get resolved, is the digital divide. Today, about 7,000 schools in the country are doing online teaching, and that's happening through all the multiple platforms. Google Classroom has taken a lead as far the platform or the learning management software or programs are concerned. But going forward, what happens to the 5.5 lakh schools which we have in the country? Only the top 7,000, 8,000 schools where we send our kids are doing e-learning, because we have the resources. Our school has the resources. Our kids have a laptop. We have unlimited type of a Wi-Fi. We don't know how much data we are consuming. So it's going on. So they are doing well. They will end up writing their examination, not in a physical format, but probably on a digital format. But that's like 2–3% of the population. What happens to rest of the country? What happens to places where there is no infrastructure? What happens to places where a household does not even have a old desktop, forget a laptop or forget a tablet? Now that's the digital divide. So government needs to take on a war footing. Tech companies like us and everybody else in the ecosystem needs to take on a war footing and avoid the digital divide, connect the country, connect everybody. So there will be education coming in form of e-learning content if schools are not able to open up, or blended is going to become the new this thing. The other big advantage with people are saying that at least for people who are going, or students who are going for higher education, you need not go to an Harvard, you should not go to an ISB. Yeah, you can do everything over here, and sitting in your room, in your bedroom, in your dining room, you would be able to have access to global teachers. If I want to learn something about a Japanese technology, I need not go to an Harvard and spend that much amount of money. I pay good amount of money, and I will have the best of my teachers, best of the professors teaching me from anywhere in the globe. So global access for students through online learning is also going to change, and this is going to be significant, especially for higher education, especially for all the management degrees where we are spending a lot of money. All of us have plans of sending our kids abroad. We have a lot of plans. Our organizations are sending us for some courses. We are all doing executive management courses. All that can change, and it will become a blended approach as we go forward. And at least what the industry believes is that e-learning companies are going to be a big catalyst to undivide the digital India and get India connected. So digital India and Teach India will now be really happening. Government has taken a lot of efforts, and a lot of things have happened on both this program, whether it is Digital India or Teach India. But now over the next 2 or 3 years, with what we have seen over the last 45-50 days, the view is that connectivity, at least in tier 2, tier 3, tier 4 and rural India, will be much more faster. Content is going to be made available online. So the overall education quotient of our country is going to go up, and in the long term, which is 10 to 15 years, with a very young population, we are set to be the education capital of the world. So that's on the education thing. But yeah, to put everything into perspective, it's a once in a lifetime opportunity, and we are super thrilled to shape up the next 3 or 4 years, at least in the education world. And it's looking very promising as we go forward. Yeah. And the last thing, and I'm also touching upon my small 3.5 year stint at Sequoia Capital, and though I'm not an expert, or I'm on an investment, but at least I've spoken to some of the biggest names in the venture capital world, and this is what they have said, that there is no major change from an investing climate point of view. It's just a 3-month break. Any which ways we take like 3-4 months break and do exotic vacations. We are doing exotic vacations in our respective houses. So it's a 3-month break from investing. And the view is that as a venture capital firm or a private equity firm, their number one job is to invest money. Their KPI is to invest money. So they will figure out ways and means and companies to invest money, because if they don't invest money, they don't earn money. Yeah. So VCs and PE firms are looking out for companies where they can invest. But yeah, there are some things which are emerging. Trends are coming out that most big VCs and PE firms will go for technology, consumer goods, pharmaceuticals, biotech, and certainly AdTech as a future investment opportunity. And they will be they'll be more than hesitant to go for companies or sluggish view on infrastructure, real estate, and non-essential consumer goods. Yeah. So this were the 6 or 7 sectors which I wanted to talk about as a closing remark and a summary, that this is a once in a lifetime of a crisis, and the world pecking order is changing or has already changed. We are all all of us talk about, this is going to be the new normal. Me sitting at home and doing Zoom calls is a new normal. Me sitting at home and studying is a new normal. It's easier said than done. Yeah, talking about new normal is one part, but adapting to the new normal is going to be the number one challenge for mankind over the next couple of years, because everything around us is changing, and you can see the change happening right now. To adapt to this change, we are doing it right now because it's a 45-day, 60-day. We know somewhere back of our mind that things will change, and we will be back on the road, stuck in the traffic, waiting at the airport, having big lunches and coffees at all those nice places. But that's not going to be the new normal. It's going to be different, and we need to adopt. Yeah, but as people have said in the past, some philosophers have said, some scientists have said in the past, that human race is known to adopt to changes. So I'm 100% confident that all of us will adopt to the new changes. So yeah, that's what it is going to be. So hope we come out of this crisis soon. And thank you very much for listening to me, and hope to see you in person on the other side of the crisis.
Brilliant. Thanks, Atit. A lot of questions are already coming in, but before we jump into questions, there are a couple of views. I just want your perspective. So you mentioned about working from home, right? It's somewhere it's boomed. People are happy, saying that they don't need to travel, and especially in the cities like Bombay, Delhi, Bangalore, 2 to 3 hours just traveling in your car or in the public transport. But the other thing which I'm talking to a lot of my friends, and I just want your view also, because we all are working from home, saying that the call starts at 8:30 in the morning and it goes on till 11, 12 in the night. And suddenly the lunchtime has become 4:30 in the evening or 6 o'clock in the evening, no matter what time. So what's your view? So productivity from a company perspective, I'm sure it has increased. But from an employee perspective, what's your view?
No. So see, right now, okay. So at least my view is, and it's not a full sample, but some of us are trying to demonstrate that we are working very hard. Some of us are trying to demonstrate we are working very hard, which actually is not the case. We just talk and tell people, oh God, I started at 8 o'clock in the morning, winded up at 11. I'm eating at 4 o'clock. I don't know when I wake up, when I sleep. This is all good. But see, again, this will change as we have a routine. Once we are in office, you wake up, you get ready, you go to office, you have your cup of tea, you have your schedule, you lunch at this time, you meet these people at this time you try to wind up. You have a sort of a schedule. Some of us are much more organized. We plan it out. Some back of the mind, it's always there. Over here right now, we are not planning our days. We are not planning our work. Yeah, but if this becomes the new normal, where we end up working from home, it would over a period of time also become a regular stuff. One advice is that we will start at 9 o'clock. We are right now sitting in shorts and we are sitting in tracks and working the entire day because nobody sees us. Yeah. But yeah, if you wake up and dress to work from home as you dress to work from office, a lot of things will change, and slowly and gradually all of us will get used to this thing. But it's just a short-term thing. But over a period of time, this also will become standardized, and we will have a proper structure or a method to the madness from working from home too.
Interesting. There is one question which says virtual showroom is what you mentioned is going to be big. I just want to add a couple of points before I jump into that question. So virtual showroom, definitely, we've seen a lot of attraction. We work with a lot of brands. And I've seen that a lot of automobiles, a lot of educations, a lot of job fairs, a lot of real estate companies are all jumping into the virtual bandwagon, and everybody is getting into those IPs. And we worked in the past with few companies, and it's really working well. So what's your view? So you mentioned that the bikes and those markets will, I'm sure, cycle to a certain extent will also increase. What's your view on the low-end cars? Do you think that is really going to jump compared to what we're seeing right now? Because I'm talking a lot of people say, oh, now I don't prefer to go with public transport. I better buy a small car, even if it's fine. I have to take on EMI, but that's something I'm going to do. What's your view on that?
Yeah, so that is personal mobility. That's exactly the point. So people like us not people like us, people who can afford a car, through some finance options will go for a small car. I will not be ready, or people would not be ready to spend big bucks to buy a big car. I need mobility, and I will take the cheapest mode of mobility. So yes, entry-level segment cars, all your hatchbacks and all your Marutis and the Hyundais and the Renaults, which have the entry-level cars, would be growing. But more than the four-wheelers, it's easier to get a two-wheeler. I will get a two-wheeler, and that is the mass of the population, the mass of India. People who are traveling for 1.5 hours by a public transport might not be able to afford a four-wheeler. They might go for a two-wheeler, or they might go for a second-hand car.
Interesting. So there is this one question says, how do you see a retail and lifestyle category shaping up?
No, so that is also, now just imagine, so retail, it is going to be tough. Are we going to run to a mall to buy clothes once the lockdown opens up? We are not going to do that. Yeah. So what is going to happen in the retail space? It's much, much more controlled environment rather than open bazaars. So malls and multiplex and retail will open up, but they will be now probably operating for 24 hours with limited number of people allowed at any given point in time to enter the store. You finish whatever you are supposed to do, you come out, the next batch goes in. So you will not see overcrowded malls and departmental stores or supermarkets. It will grow, but it is also going to have a significant impact on their bottom line, because if you have to open it for that many number of hours to maintain traffic of people, you will require more electricity, you will require a lot of other things, and that might increase their cost. So again, they are going to figure out, have multiple plans, put plan A or do a pilot. If it works, great, or then move on to the next approach. So still nobody knows till it does
Yeah.
not open up, but the trend is that they will have a significant impact going forward. So anything which is consumer facing, airlines, hotels, retail, malls, multiplex, spas, salon, all of them are going to see some amount of time before they come back to pre-lockdown levels.
Okay. Interesting. So another question is, what's your suggestions for startup? How should they take this situation?
Okay, no, so I don't know, I don't have a ready-made answer, but the only thing which I will say is that this is the time to conserve cash. Capital is the number one thing. Yeah, you need to now, as I said, I'm not the expert on startups or in this entire space, but commonsensical thing, which in a very, very linear way, which I look at, or the way I look at stuff, is that this is the time where the future is very, very uncertain. It's not that I will grow by 10% or I will not, or I'll drop by 10%. It is at the extremes. And extreme being that I might not have the resources going forward to even survive as a startup. So the first and the foremost thing which I will do, or the view is that start conserving cash, and capital is the single largest thing. Yeah, don't, I know if you're not, raising money is also difficult right now, but as I said, VC and PE firms are loaded with money. They have no other job, but their only job is to invest, to start reaching out. They are very keen to now support industries with small check values, with a lot of help and support coming from the technical side. So they will give you tech support, they will give you recruitment support, they will give you business support, and as well as the money. So conserve cash and try to raise money rather than doing anything silly going forward.
Makes sense. So there's another question is saying, what are the clients' current mindset? Are they slashing the budget big time? When do you think they're going to start spending that money back?
So from an advertising perspective?
Yes.
From advertising perspective.
Yes.
So see, what is going to happen is FMCG has started, and as we speak to the big broadcasters or the biggest digital players, slowly and gradually FMCG is coming back, because some factories are opening up, supply chain is getting managed, demand is already there. So you will have FMCG revival happening very, very soon. So that is going to drive in a lot of advertising revenue coming in. But four-wheelers, no. Two-wheelers, yes. Real estate, no. All airlines, no. Hotels, no. E-commerce ideally do not need to be advertised because they are not able to fulfill their orders. So I would be really, really surprised if you see a big bang advertising campaign coming from either of this Amazons or Flipkarts or Big Basket or Grofers in the near future. But yeah, it's a matter of a couple of months, because today they are well penetrated. People know about them. It is now become agnostic. If Big Basket is giving me my grocery delivery and I'm a loyal consumer, a customer of any other grocery delivery thing, doesn't matter. Whoever is giving me in this time is my number one partner as a consumer. So they don't need to be, they did not need to advertise. OEMs, especially the mobile players, which plays a very, very significant role in the advertising revenue for most of the media partners, they are also seeing it, because if their supply chain is impacted, and if their components and parts and all those things are not coming in from China, if the factories are not working, you will not have new mobile phones getting launched. Yeah, you will have some digital launch happening, but that's it, and it will be available on some e-commerce site. So OEMs will not come in. Four-wheelers will not come in. Durables might not come in, because what are they going to sell? Because summers have been lost. The biggest months for players like LG or Whirlpool and all these guys is ACs and refrigerators, which is now. You're in the
Yeah.
peak summer. Now, the second big phase for them comes in is during Navratri, Diwali, and Christmas, which is your October, November, December period. So they have not clocked in their bare minimum levels, and I don't know how much sale and how much freebies and offers they will be putting in. But that base also is very high, because traditionally Diwalis and festival, they have a very, very huge base. So they're not going to grow. And if they're not going to grow, that money is not going to be coming into advertising. So at least at the overall level, we are expecting at an industry level, currently we are at about 20-25% fill levels. It might settle down at 50-60%, at least for the next quarter.
Perfect. Yeah. So we have a lot of questions. One point which is very interesting. It says that what about the collaboration between the brands happening, like Ola and Uber, especially in Pune, are delivering fruits and vegetables. There are a lot of banking has tied up with the e-paper and giving us banking information. Book My Show is coming and tying up with a lot of other things. What's your view? So do you think the collaboration is completely different and it's going to continue in future in a bigger way?
Yes, that's going to be the single largest change from a company's point of view. You will collaborate. Earlier, you used to collaborate with like-minded partners, with strategic partners, with related affiliate industries. Yeah. Now, going forward, collaboration is going to become with your competition. Ola and Uber, two of the biggest cab hailing services, are collaborating and offering services to the society. Like banks are collaborating, airlines will collaborate. So yeah, it's a time for collaboration, and for both the companies to survive and give the most value to the consumer for the money which they are charging. Individually, we will not be able to survive. It will collaborate, use manpower, use resources, use factories and everything else to drive better efficiency and effectiveness, both for them as well as for the consumers.
Got it. So it's already 11:50. One last question, and it's from your dear friend Devdatta Upadhyay. She's also there. Hey Atit, any thoughts on Byju's training interested teacher to hold online classes as the skills training exercise, considering your team is already an expert on that? Some of them are new to the job and are struggling with it. What's your view?
Yeah. So right now we are also grappling with a lot of things. We also want to do a lot of things, but yeah, there is some amount of prioritization. As of right now, we are hardcore academics, and going forward, we are introducing a lot of other things in terms of train the trainers. Yeah. So if teachers needs to, if teacher has always taught on a blackboard, Dave, and now for them to teach on a laptop screen, it is asking, Donald Trump to come to my house for lunch. It's not going to happen. You need to train them. So a lot of content is getting created to train the teachers. A lot of content is getting created to talk to students who have come to the jobs for the first time, to talk about the uncertainty, to talk about mental conditioning, to talk about physical health as well as mental health. So enough and more is happening in the space. If not a company, but 3 or 4 companies in the space are looking at such type of training modules for everybody going forward across different segments, whether it's students, it's teachers, it's working women, it is working men, how to manage work from home and work at home also. So yeah, enough.
Okay. So we since I have 1 minute, Atit, I'll just take a privilege to ask you one more question. So what's your view if Atit has to put his money in an idea or wants to come up with a new business, because we have a lot of startup people on the call and they are interested. So what will be that idea, or where you put your money in this current situation?
Intelligent question, Pritesh, and tough one to answer. If one has to put, it's not about me, one has to put money. look at businesses which is headless, where the dependency on people is less, and it is much more digitally technology driven than what it was in the past. And also figure out, or not figure out, but find out a niche in this type of businesses which is going to be looking as a future trend. Because understanding the trends, because see, we have never seen this life before, and I
True.
hope and pray that we don't see this life ever again in our
Yeah.
lifetime. At least we don't know. So as consumer behavior shapes, consumer behavior determines the trend. And if one is able to find out a trend which is emerging, and if you are then able to find out a business which is in that space, and which is then which is minimizing human interaction and much more of tech integration and tech conversation, I would close my eyes and put in whatever money I can put into those type of businesses.
Brilliant. Sorry, there are a lot many questions, but we already 12:05. I know you have another setup meeting lined up. You told me that. So I don't want to take much of your time. I really thank you, Atit, for sharing your thoughts on various industries with all of us. It is really we really appreciate you spending time with us, and hope to host many with you in future. Thanks once again. And thank you to all the participants who have attended the webinar. And those people who couldn't see it, don't worry. There is some issue with my team going to Facebook. There was some issue, but we will share that recording. So thanks again to all, and thanks again, Pratik, thanks a lot for your time. It was really great.
Thank you, Pratesh. You're breaking. Thank you very much. Yeah. See you.
Thanks a lot. Bye. See you.